seen a lot of grumbling on the Crusader Kings 3 subreddit about how the Mongols have become too strong for some of the players and that it might be time to course correct to nerf them a little bit. For those not in the know, the Mongol Invasion is a random event that spawns after 1200, where Temujin appears on the eastern side of the map and begins a several-decade crusade, usually lasting 3 generations, with each generation gaining renewed vigor to expand ever eastward. Like a wildfire that spreads quickly and devastatingly, ravaging all of the land until it runs its course, or being snuffed out with much effort. Some have said that the Khans is too out of control for all AI and some players to handle. What I say to that line of thinking? Let's turn back the clock to November 2020, when we covered why I thought the Mongols were in such an ineffective force. At this point, the Mongols usually petered out before even coming close to their historical equivalents. On average, they didn't even begin to threaten Persia, let alone Europe. My gripes with them were pretty straightforward and have been mostly fixed in this current iteration of the game. First, I said that they were going into debt too quickly, which started a cascading effect on their expansion. They had no money, so they couldn't reinforce quickly, which in turn caused them to lose wars, which cost them money, pushing them into further debt. Then that would cause a debuff with their population and vassals, which led to more internal wars that turned into a complete collapse. They fixed this by providing Temujin and his heirs with more cash at the start, plus a modifier to reduce army maintenance. On top of that, every time they capture a new county during a war, they raid it, causing a loss of development but gaining coin. My next 2 gripes were pretty much the same issue, that the AI is using way too much of their troops at any given point, aka doom stacking. You don't need 35,000 troops to take on a tribal county with a level 1 fort. It's like the equivalent of dropping a nuke on a sandcastle to break down its walls. A waste of resources and not where you should be focusing your energies. With several updates since that video release, the AI has gotten much better at saving its strength for better fights. It's not perfect, but they are doing a much better job of moving troops around in smaller stacks to prevent large amounts of attrition and stationing them in already occupied territory to not sap their supplies. That being said, I do still see them from time to time getting overzealous and walking around in a doomstack when only fighting a combined force of about 10,000 troops, but that's a much larger issue with the war and battle mechanics in this game. I'm looking at you, Crusades. Back to the matter at hand. Are we living in the golden age of Mongol invasions, or are they too OP? Well, my answer is that it might be a skill issue for some players, which totally makes sense. How often are you faced with a massive empire that is hell-bent on expanding as far as they can, and with each generation has fresh troops to annihilate your hopes and dreams? Not often enough for the average player to know how to deal with this hurdle. Thus, I am here with all my CK3 knowledge to provide some pointers you can use next time you're dealing with the Mongols. Tip number 1, break them early. Depending on your game rules you have set up for the campaign, they'll usually appear after 1200, but will always spawn on the same county, Kenti. I probably said that wrong, but here we are. Therefore, if you play your cards right, you can send in a strong enough force to quickly capture that one. And if you're really lucky, you won't even have to fight them once. And all you have to do is capture that one county, which it would in turn give 100% war score. I know this one is a kind of a long shot tip, but it's always worth having a Hail Mary in your tool bag when it comes to these situations. Tip number 2, killing 3, maybe 4 Khans in a row. This is by far the most common and probably the easiest one to actually make happen. How the Mongols traditionally work is they get 3, maybe 4 rulers before they explode into the Mongol states. So all you have to do is kill 3 people and your problem will be fixed. But there's one snag. Temujin's Great Khan trait gives him plus 100 on enemy hostile scheme, which makes killing him all but impossible. The 2 workarounds I have for this: wait till he gets big enough and has enough people hate him, or try to kill someone in his family and find out who the spy master is and gain a hook on them to force them into your murder scheme, which will almost definitely give you the bonus you need to kill him. Tip number 3, can't beat them, join them, aka be vassalized. Are you a king and you can see that the Mongols are threatening to take your land soon? Why not bend the knee and live to fight another day? With this scenario, you just take your time and expand within the empire When it explodes, you can easily usurp your Mongol overlord's lands and throne. Are you a pagan too? Are you one of the 18 pagan faiths in the game, or do you have syncretic folk tradition as a doctrine in your faith? Guess what? Now you're entitled with a marriage with the Great Khan's family, giving you immunity to the Mongols and their invasion of the known world. Watch as your neighbors cower in fear as you go about your day, taking advantage of having a strong ally in the Mongols to crush any resistance to you and yours. Make it the Pope's problem. You can abuse the Pope's near limitless coffers to take care of your own problems. The best way I've seen to enact this plan is to grab a duchy or even just a county in the lands that are in the next set of invasions. You'll know what's next because they'll usually try to go through the whole empire's de jure lands before moving on to the next one. Once they've declared war, simply grant the land to the Pope and watch two titans go at it. Well, a titan and a man with a funny hat that has more money than God because he's God's chosen dude on earth with a funny hat. Either way can be a speed bump that causes the whole operation to fall apart, especially if you're trying one of the other methods at the same time. You can also direct a crusade against the Mongols to cause some chaos too, but what I've found with crusades is that they really do much more than put them off for a year or two, because as we all know, the crusade mechanic as it is does nothing but waste everyone's time and resources. Two Mongol empires? You can steal the title of Great Khan from Temujin. At any point you can become the Great Khan as long as you meet these requirements. The craziest thing I found out about this is that the steppe region is huge. As you can see on the map, the blue area is all the steppe region, so you can get the requirement much easier than previously thought. Once you've taken the decision, you can take the title away from Temujin or whatever Khan is in power at the time. They'll still have their special troops, so therefore you take them out before too long. The other thing to note is that the Great Khan title and troops only last one generation, so be careful when you pull the trigger, or you might only be Khan for a short time. Now that you are armed with some diverse and possibly unhinged ways to deal with the Khan of Khans, you'll be more equipped to answer the question of whether or not the Mongols are too OP or if it's a skill issue that players are having. Whatever your answer is, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, have a good rest of your day. Ciao.